everybody, and welcome back to the second hour of power here on Fire Your MD Now. If you're listening to the podcast and or would like to speak with a live human being, 855-347-3696. That's 855-347-3696. Or visit us at fireyourmdnow.com 24/7. And, of course, the number to call to speak with me live today, 866-582-9933. That's 866-582-9933. Now, we're going to pause here for a moment in our conversation about our week-long conversation about influenza to talk about this gun stuff, because it's all in the news and that's what everybody's thinking about, right? It's the new headline that's eclipsed everything else, and Obama comes out and wants to implement strict gun regulation, which I'm okay, quite frankly, with people not having military assault weapons. I'm all right with that. I'm all right with people not having 100-round clips, because you don't need that to shoot a deer. But, quite frankly, we're missing the point. Everybody's missing the point. It's not about the gun. It's about who's holding it. And, quite frankly, if what we're concerned with here is a public health issue, if it's a safety issue, which is what this is all about, we have to have regulations on guns in order to ensure the safety of the public. Is that right? Is that what you're concerned with? Well, you're welcome to your own opinion, but you're not welcome to your own set of facts. Let's break the numbers down. Last year in the United States, there were 9,500 homicides, murders, involving guns. That's someone killing another person on purpose with a gun. 9,500. There were 31,000 total deaths by guns. So accidental deaths, suicides, and murders, homicides all combined. 31,000 people. 31,000 people. That's nothing to shake a stick at. And, heaven forbid it was anyone in your family or your child that was, shot by a maniac, with an AK-47. Heaven forbid. But 31,000 people, and we are in an uproar. So much so that the president invokes executive privilege and makes an executive order legislating about the use of guns and gun regulation. That's a big deal. When a president goes into executive order mode, right? That's a big deal. 31,000 people. Well, 780,000 people last year were killed by their medical doctors. 780,000 people were killed by their medical doctors. Let me say it once more. 780,000 people a year are killed by medical doctors. And nobody bats an eyelash. 31,000 people are killed by guns. And we go crazy as a nation. Heaven forbid those little kindergarten kids. If that had happened to my kid, I don't know what I would have done. But this is not the correct response. I'm trying to put this in perspective. The medical doctors kill us. We don't bat an eyelash. We give them more money. We give them more money to do more research. We give them more money for insurance to give us the privilege of seeing them the next time we're sick so they can hurt us again. We need our heads examined. And here's something that nobody's talking about. School shooters under the influence of psychiatric meds. School shooters under the influence of psychiatric meds. Fact. Despite 22 international drug regulatory warnings on psychiatric drugs on the label, citing effects of mania, hostility, violence, and even homicidal ideation, which means the drugs make you want to kill people, and dozens of high-profile shootings, killings tied to psychiatric drug use, there has yet to be a federal investigation on the link between psychiatric drugs and acts of senseless violence. Fact. Between 2004 and 2011, there have been over 11,000 reports. 11,000 reports to the U.S. FDA's MedWatch system of psychiatric drug side effects related to violence. These include 300 cases of homicide, 3,000 cases of mania, and 7,000 cases of aggression. Note, by the FDA's own admission, only 1 to 10% of side effects are ever reported. So the actual number of side effects occurring are most certainly higher. Fact. At least 14 recent school shootings were committed by those taking or withdrawing from psychiatric drugs, resulting in 109 wounded and 58 killed. 109 wounded and 58 killed. The most important fact about this list is that these are only the shooters where the information about their psychiatric drug use was made public. As an example, James Holmes, suspected perpetrator of a mass shooting that occurred in July at the movie theater in Aurora, Colorado, the Batman shooting, was seeing psychiatrist Lynn Fenton at the time. No mention has been made of what psychiatric drugs he was taking, and his medical records have been sealed. You want to take a look at the rundown? Are you up for it? Here we go. This is hard love, ladies and gentlemen. This is, where truth comes for dinner. And they're surrounded by a bright halo. You can't overlook it. Huntsville, Alabama, February 5th, 2010. 15-year-old Hamad Memon shot and killed another middle school student, Todd Brown. Memon had a history for being treated for ADHD and depression. He was taking the antidepressant Zoloft and many other drugs, and he was seeing a psychiatrist and a psychologist. DeKalb, Illinois, February 14th, 2008. 27-year-old Stephen Kazmierzak shot and killed 5 people and wounded 21 others before killing himself in a Northern Illinois University auditorium. According to his girlfriend, he had recently been taking Prozac, Xanax, and Ambien. Toxicology results showed he still had trace amounts of Xanax in his system. He had been seeing a psychiatrist. Finland, November 7th, 2007. 18-year-old Finnish gunman Pekka Erik Alvinen had been taking antidepressants before he killed 8 people and wounded a dozen more at Jokela High School in southern Finland. Then he committed suicide. Cleveland, Ohio, October 10th, 2007. 14-year-old Asa Kuhn stormed through his school with a gun in each hand, shooting and wounding 4 before taking his own life. Court records show Kuhn had been placed on the antidepressant Trazodone. Red Lake, Minnesota, March 2005. Jeff Weiss on Prozac shot and killed his grandparents, then went to his school on Red Lake Indian Reservation where he shot dead 7 students and a teacher, wounded 7, and then killed himself. Greenbush, New York, February 2004. 16-year-old John Romano strolled into his high school in East Greenbush and opened fire with a shotgun. Special education teacher Michael Bennett was hit in the leg. Romano had been taking medication for depression. He had previously seen a psychiatrist. Waluki, Washington, April 10th, 2001. 16-year-old Corey Badsgard took a rifle to his high school and held 23 classmates and a teacher hostage. He'd been taking the antidepressant Effexor. Columbine, Colorado. Remember Columbine? 1999, 18-year-old Eric Harris and his accomplice Dylan Klebold killed 12 students and a teacher, wounded 26 others before killing themselves. Harris was on the antidepressant Luvox. Klebold's medical records remained sealed. Both shooters had been in anger management class and had undergone counseling. Harris had been seeing a psychiatrist before the shooting. What do psychiatrists prescribe? Drugs. Now, if you're not pissed off, you're not paying attention. We are missing the conversation that needs to happen here. Once again, the pharmaceutical companies have pulled it over your eyes. It's always the crazy people who kill innocents, right? It's always the crazy people. And what are the crazy people doing? The crazy people are taking prescription medications with side effects of homicidal ideation. And yet, we give them a pass. We give the doctors who prescribe the meds a pass. So much of a pass that it doesn't even enter into the national conversation. Oh, it's like the sacred cow that you can't touch. Well, guess what? It needs to be touched. And furthermore, from our point of view, what causes mental illness? Nutrient deficiencies and the consistent consumption of all of the wrong foods all of the time. There are millions of biochemical activities that are happening inside of your brain every second of every day. And in order for that complex system to function like a well-oiled machine, guess what it needs? 90 essential nutrients and a diet that's high in cholesterol. You withdraw nutrients from your body, your brain starts to get funky. You want me to prove it? Eat sugar for breakfast, lunch, and dinner every day for 7 days. Have 7 teaspoons of sugar, whatever else you eat. Just eat whatever you eat, and then put 7 teaspoons of sugar into your breakfast, your lunch, and your dinner every day for 7 days. And see what happens to your mood. See what happens to your ideation. See what happens to your thought process. See what happens to your dreams. See what happens to your worldview. It will horrify you. But we don't talk about this. Because the drug companies, they do whatever they want. They kill us, they maim us, they harm us. They give us drugs approved by the FDA, and then those drugs kill us. And then we have class action lawsuits against those drugs, and the companies that make them are still in business, and nobody goes to jail. They get their wrists slapped and a $10 million fine, which to the pharmaceutical industry is like 1 penny to you and me. Ladies and gentlemen, it's time again to draw a line in the sand. This far and no further. Today, I've made up my mind to fire my MD and to get on board with longevity and to actually take pragmatic steps to recover my health with the 90 essential nutrients. 90 for life. 90 for life. 90. Cynthia is calling up with a question about, I think, a menstrual or hormonal acne, I think. Welcome aboard, Cynthia. It's your time on Fire Your MD Now.
Thank you. Yeah, no, I was calling because I've had acne since, starting puberty, and I was on the doxycycline, but I don't want to take it anymore. And I had heard another caller call in and say, you basically prescribed certain things, but I wasn't sure if that also included hormonal acne, not just hormonal, menopause or so forth.
Well, all right, so let's talk about it, okay? So acne is an abnormal symptom on the skin. And as an abnormal symptom on the skin, it's the sign that something is out of whack in the body. If you're healthy, in optimal health, you don't have acne, you don't have hormonal acne, you don't have acne. The main causative factor of acne that's not related to hormones is too much blood sugar. It's too much sugar in the blood for too long a period of time. It's a breakdown in your body's ability to process sugar efficiently, and or it's a diet that's too high in carbohydrates. So the first, second, and third thing to do if we're talking about acne is eliminate the 10 bad foods from your diet. Eliminate extracurricular carbohydrates, even if they're gluten-free, and cut way down on your sugar consumption. I mean, you can have orange juice and you can have apples and grapefruit, but no candy, no ice cream, no foods that are like loaded with sugar, right? You just got to eliminate those for a minimum of 3 months, and do 1 Healthy Start pack per 100 pounds of body weight per month, 1 bottle of selenium per 50 pounds of body weight per month, and Z-Radical to top it all off, as much as you can afford. That's a really good program. Oh, I'm sorry, it's the Healthy Blood Sugar Pack, not the Healthy Start Pack. The Healthy Blood Sugar Pack, the selenium and the Z-Radical. That's a really good program to help someone get on the other side of acne. Also, the PureWorks foam has the same stuff in it that there's an acne company, the stuff it's all over the malls. I can't remember the name of it, but it's like the most common acne stuff that's sold over the counter in the United States. I'll think of it in a minute. The same stuff that's in that stuff that kills bacteria on your face is in the PureWorks foam. So if you get the PureWorks foam and or the PureWorks antibacterial soap and you apply that to your skin, that's going to go a long way towards towards helping your body be acne-free. Now, if it's hormonal acne, that's related to an overabundance of estrogen. Now, why would someone have an overabundance of estrogen? Because they have a bad estrogen gene? No. Because they have a voodoo curse? No. Because they're Republican or Democrat or independent? No. Because they own guns or don't own guns? No. It's because they have the wrong doctor. Quite frankly, from our point of view, when someone has hormonally related acne, chronic, especially if it's chronic, every once in a while, no problem, that's kind of life, right? But if it's chronic, then that's related to most probably a problem with the liver. Because the liver is one of the main organs necessary for the conjugation and keeping the levels of your hormones in your body correct. That's one of the things that the liver does. It regulates hormone levels in the body. Now, if the liver is funky or tired, that's a medical term, by the way, funky, right? If the liver is a little funked up or a little gummed up or a little tired or undernutrified, it's not going to be able to do its job correctly. And if it doesn't do its job correctly, it's going to lead to an overabundance of different hormones at different parts of the menstrual cycle. And if it's too much estrogen, you're going to get acne. So what do? Well, we support and promote the health of the liver. How do we do that? Well, with selenium. So the recommendation here, I don't care how much you weigh, would be 4 bottles of selenium a month and 1 Healthy Start pack per 100 pounds of body weight per month, 4 bottles of selenium a month, and as much Z-Radical as you can afford. Now, here's a little extracurricular thing you can do in order to help the liver. Get a juicer, and every day have about 12 ounces of fresh squeezed beet, green apple, and carrot juice. And if you want to spice it up, throw a little ginger root in there. So it's beetroot, not the greens, it's the beetroot. And it's the raw root, not, canned beets or steamed beets. It's the raw beet. Cut the greens off, cut it up into quarters, throw it in the juicer. You want to have about 4, 5, 6 ounces of beet juice a day. We put the apple and the carrots in to make it taste good. But if you do this therapy for a month, it's really, really good for your liver. However, it's going to make your urine and your stool turn red from the beet juice. You're going to think you're bleeding, but you're not. Try the carrot, apple, beet juice every day for a month. See what happens. Back. Dr. Peter Glidden here, your steadfast advocate for health, talking about all things having to do with holistic health today. The phones are filling up. We're going to go right back to the phones right now. Avi is calling with a question about the meal replacement shake. Welcome aboard, Avi. It's your time on Dr. Glidden Show.
Hi, Dr. Glidden again. How are you?
Good.
I have actually 3 questions, and I think it's pretty fast from you, pretty quick. One is I started taking the meal replacement shake to lose some weight, and I am kind of concerned about the phytates. I'm not sure if it contains phytates because when I do the shake, I'm doing exercise at the same time, and I put 1 scoop of the BTT.
Yep.
I don't know if that contains phytates. We all know that it blocks the minerals. So if it does, I'll stop putting the BTT and take the shake alone. That's one of my questions.
So what do you put in the shake?
I just put water, 2 scoops of the shake, and 1 scoop of the Beyond Tangerine.
And the shake is the what's the shake?
It's I forgot the name.
Is it the Slender FX shake?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay. All right. Yeah. Now, how many scoops of that are you doing?
I'm doing 2 scoops of the Slender FX.
Yeah.
And I'm doing 1 scoop of the Beyond Tangerine.
Yeah, all right. So I don't know how many calories are in Beyond Tangy Tangerine, but that's only about 120 calories maybe. There's 105 calories in 2 scoops of the Slender FX. There's no calories in water, and there's no phytates in any of that stuff, so you don't have to worry about it. So you are good to go.
Okay, perfect. Second question. Usually when I do a lot of broths and soups, and I blend the bones from chicken and sometimes pork, and I put it back in the soup. Now, my question, and somebody else already asked me this too. When we eat that, does the body absorb the calcium and all the minerals in the bones, or it just goes out?
Well, that's a great question. And back in the day, like in Native American culture and Aboriginal culture in Australia and, indigenous peoples around the world, including the Eskimos, bone meal was a big part of the food supply, and people would, the Native Americans, they didn't waste any part of the animal, and so they would take the bones from the deer, or the bear, or the whale, or whatever it was that, the animal that they killed, they would roast the bones over a fire, then they would pulverize the bones into a bone meal or a bone powder. And then they would put the bone powder into their soups, into their stews, into their bread, and into their food. This is where that, the Jack and the Beanstalk rhyme came from, right? Fee, fi, fo, fum, I smell the blood of an Englishman, be he alive or be he dead, I'll grind his bones to make my bread, right? They actually did that. They would grind the bones up and put the bone meal into their food, and that's an excellent source of calcium. It's a really good source, but you don't know how much you're getting, so it's kind of a crapshoot. It's a great thing to do, and it's kind of like the icing on the cake. I wouldn't use that as my sole source of calcium, but it's an excellent addition to your overall diet. And honestly, man, it is so hard to overdose with calcium, it is not even funny. So as far as I'm concerned, the more calcium, the better. And, I'm going to bet you that when you make soup like that, or the food that you make with the bones, I bet it tastes awesome, right? So just keep it up. You do absorb the minerals and the calcium, which of course is a mineral, from that type of a preparation. But I wouldn't count on that solely to give you the 60 minerals that your body needs, especially not the calcium, because your body has massive needs for calcium. But that's a good addition to your diet, no problem.
One, and this is not from me. A friend, he's taking the supplements, and he's taking one scoop of the Beyond Tangerine with the calcium and the omega right before bed. He listened to the Wallach CDs, and where he advises people take this with meal and with food, and he's concerned that if he's not absorbing if he takes it without a meal.
No, it's not a problem. The only reason we recommend people take it during a meal is so they don't get an upset stomach from it. If you take it on an empty stomach, it's probably better, unless when you take it on an empty stomach, it gives you an upset stomach. Most people's digestive tract in the free world has been so messed up by decades of eating all the wrong food, right? We eat all the wrong food all the time, unless you're with longevity. We eat wheat, barley, rye, and oats all the time. We eat oil all the time. We eat fried foods all the time. We don't eat butter. We eat margarine instead. We don't eat salt, We drink Coca-Cola and carbonated beverages with meals. It's bad, man, what we do. And so most people, by the time they get to longevity, they're in their 30s or their 40s, maybe their 50s. Their digestive tracts have been hammered by 3-4 decades of eating all the wrong stuff all of the time. So then when you pour a really nutritious, sophisticated, high-powered, high-quality, concentrated nutritional supplement like Beyond Tangy Tangerine or OsteoFX, when you pour that down the hatch, it'll make most people's stomachs feel funky. But if you take the supplements with a meal, usually not. So that's why we recommend people take it with a meal. It's got nothing to do with absorption. If you can take the stuff on an empty stomach and have no problem from it, then you are good to go. Take it whenever you want. I would be a little hesitant to take the Beyond Tangy Tangerine before bed, because it has the tendency to wake you up. There's no caffeine in it. but it's a very concentrated nutritional supplement, and all of your cylinders start to fire. So, if who's the guy that's taking the Beyond Tangy Tangerine before bed, if he's sleeping through the night, then there's no problem, and you don't need to worry about the absorption. But if it starts to become difficult for him to fall asleep, or he wakes up in the middle of the night, he's got bad dreams or something like that, then I would knock the Beyond Tangy Tangerine off before bed. However, the calcium, all by itself, or, better, in a little bit of orange juice before bed, that's like the best sleep medicine in the world. So I'm a big fan of the liquid calcium immediately before bed, not so much the other supplements, just because the other supplements can interfere with sleep. Does that make sense?
Sure. No, I'm just asking because he stopped for 3 days, and he couldn't sleep well, and he was concerned.
Yeah, it's because So it's the lack of calcium that's interfering with his sleep. So what I would recommend is he just take the calcium before bed and take the Beyond Tangy Tangerine in divided doses throughout the day while he's awake.
Perfect. Another question, quick?
Yeah.
Please. Can I call back tomorrow to give? I'm ready to provide my testimonial. Let's do it this way. All right. Okay. The beginning of the second segment. That's at 4 o'clock Central Time, 3 o'clock East Coast Time. Is a 13-minute segment. I will give you the entire 13 minutes of the second segment. All right. Okay.
So,
all right.
Call in at that time, and we will talk all about it, Avi. You are the greatest. I can't wait to hear this. Keep up the good work down there in the South, and I'll look forward to hearing your testimonial tomorrow. Thanks so much for the call. Up next is John with a question about mineral supplements. Hey, John, thanks for calling. You are live.
Hi, Dr. Glidden. Thank you for taking my call.
Sure.
My question is about at least probably a week and a half to 2 weeks ago, you were on the Power Hour with Joyce Riley.
Oh, yeah.
Thereabouts. And you mentioned that in taking your Youngevity's mineral supplement, that was providing, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think you said roughly 60-some% of the body's necessary nutrients, or was it 30%?
Yeah, it's 2/3, right? There are 90 essential nutrients, 60 of which are minerals. So that's 2/3. So 2/3 of your body's nutrient needs are met just by the mineral supplement all by itself. 2/3. That's a pretty big number. And the mineral supplement's cheap. One bottle of the minerals is $19, $20. So yeah, it's 2/3 of your nutrient needs are met by the mineral supplement, which is a pretty great thing.
Okay. Now, I got a couple questions to go with that. The liquids, we're talking liquid supplement or liquid mineral, are we?
Well, there's 3 ways that you can get a mineral supplement with Youngevity all by itself. There's 2 liquids. One is just the colloidal minerals all by themselves in water. That's called plant-derived minerals. And that stuff tastes like water that's been in a garden hose for a year. It's got a very metallic, tangy taste to it. Then they take that and they add a little cherry juice and a little apple juice to it to make it taste better. That's called cherry mins. And then they have the liquid minerals that have been freeze-dried, so all the water is sucked out of it, and that's sold in little capsules. That's called Ultimate Minerals. So there's 2 liquids and 1 encapsulated minerals, but it's all the same stuff.
Okay. Now, you said I didn't hear you mention the second liquid. You said one is called Cherry Min, right?
Yeah.
See, I've been looking on the order pages of Youngevity, and I wasn't sure that there's at least three or four different things to choose from, and I'm trying to pinpoint it down. I'm 66 years old, and I'm looking for something. I take the Osteo FX Plus along with EFAs and the several other things, but I was looking to see what I could get, that would supply roughly 2/3 of that mineral.
Okay, so then it's either, and these products would be listed under the longevity heading in your shopping cart. Okay, so in the longevity heading of the shopping cart, you either want to get plant-derived minerals, or cherry mints. The name of the product is plant-derived minerals or cherry mints. Either one of those will float the boat. And the recommendation, of course, everything that we do, right, is based on body weight. So the recommendation is 1 bottle of either the plant-derived minerals or the cherry mints per 100 pounds of body weight per month. And, if you're 170 pounds, take the 200-pound dose. If you're 220 pounds, take a 300-pound dose, right? You can up it because it's only $19, and too many minerals isn't going to hurt you. You can't get too many minerals, quite frankly. Or the last way to do it is the encapsulated minerals, and that is also a longevity product. It's a longevity product, and it's called Ultimate Minerals. Ultimate Minerals. Now, the Ultimate Mineral, the recommendation, that dosage is 1 capsule per 100 pounds of body weight per day. There's 64 capsules in the bottle, so if you're 180, 200 pounds, 1 bottle of the Ultimate Minerals a month is just what the doctor ordered. So, we've learned so far that the most probable cause of the greatest influenza pandemic the world has seen so far in 1918, the Spanish flu, killed between 400 and 600 million people, was a flu vaccine. A flu vaccine. It was a flu vaccine that was the most probable cause of it. Now, to give the SOBs a break, back in the early 1900s, they made vaccines with live viruses. They don't do that anymore. Well, what's the difference between a live virus and a dead virus? I thought the virus was dead to begin with. So what's the difference? Well, I'm not really sure what the difference is, nor is your medical doctor, and if you're comfortable with that nonsense, I have a bridge for sale for you in New York or in London. Really, the science behind vaccination and the effectiveness of vaccination is fuzzy science. Because they don't do a double-blinded study on this. They just don't do it. They've never done it. They only check on sick people. They don't check on the number of people who have been vaccinated versus the number of people who actually get sick. They don't do that. They've never done that. Nobody knows what the relationship is between the presence of the virus in the body and whether or not you get the illness itself. Is it a 1-to-1 correspondence? Is it every time that the influenza virus is in your body you get the flu? I mean, you can have the herpes virus forever and never get herpes. Right? Most people in the United States will test positive for herpes because it's, everywhere all the time, but very few people actually get active herpes lesions. Well, why is this? Nobody knows. And does medical science investigate this? No, they don't. What do? They develop guns which try to kill it. They don't try to get to the root cause of the illness. They develop a medicine that tries to kill it. And the medicines have side effects, and that's what we're going to be talking about tomorrow, is the side effects of vaccines. There's a situation that we talked about on the radio today called vaccinosis. The influenza vaccine has a bad history of vaccinosis, especially a syndrome called Guillain-Barré syndrome. Guillain-Barré syndrome. I'm going to be talking about that tomorrow. Tomorrow it's about the side effects of the influenza vaccine. But more specifically, folks, really, let's just be prudent and let's just be wise about the whole flippin' thing. In order for the influenza virus to gain control over your body has to be in a state of weakness. What makes your body exist in a state of weakness? Lack of nutrition and consistent consumption of all the wrong foods. So what do you want to do to be healthy? Eliminate the 10 bad foods. Take the 90 essential nutrients every day for life, for the rest of your life, and increase your antioxidant consumption to a minimum of 20,000 ORAC a day. This is our recipe for success. Thank you for logging on. Thank you for listening. I'm your steadfast advocate for health, Dr. Peter Glidden. Be sure to tune in to tomorrow's show and tomorrow night's webinar. I'll see you around campus. Dr. Glidden, over and out.